Introducing the Past Present Feature Film Festival, a new showcase celebrating cinematic storytelling across time. From bold proof-of-concept shorts to standout new films lighting up the circuit to overlooked features that deserve another look. Sponsored by the Past Present Feature podcast and Leica Camera, all films screen in Hollywood using Leica's CineWay projector. Submit now at filmfreeway.com/past-present-feature. The past, the present, the future of film, all under one spotlight. Welcome to the Past Present Feature podcast. Nina Knag's debut feature film, Don't Call Me Mama, which marks her arrival as a bold new voice in cinema, just premiered at the Karlovy International Film Festival in the Crystal Globe competition. She tackles the taboo subject of relationships between older women and younger asylum seekers through the lens of complex, unapologetic anti-heroines. Drawing from personal insight and the influence of trailblazing female filmmakers, Knag crafts a story where the setting becomes an active force in shaping narrative and theme. She underscores the value of deep collaboration with actors, embracing improvisation and authenticity to capture the messy truths of human relationships. For Knag, filmmaking is as much about the journey as the final cut. Each challenge, misstep, and success feeding into a creative process that demands vulnerability, resilience, and a refusal to compromise the heart of the story. Past films discussed include The Hunt by Thomas Vinterberg, After the Wedding by Suzanne Bier, Fish Tank by Andrea Arnold, and the short film Wasp, also by Andrea Arnold. Your forbidden love drama thriller Don't Call Me Mama is playing in the Crystal Globe section at Karlovy this year, correct?
Yes, it premieres there, world premieres. Yeah.
It's a pretty big deal. Karlovy is one of my favorite festivals as far as it really jump-started this podcast last year, I feel like. I mean, I did some Tribeca interviews, and then I think it was like some handful of other festivals, and then I did like 15 or maybe 12 Karlovy interviews. And it was like really where I got into what I care about as far as just this really craft-driven festival, I feel like, you know? Yeah. Very, I feel like it's the most, I don't know, I feel like it's the Eastern kind of European festival, would you say? What are your views on Karlovy? Let me just ask you that.
Yeah, I've never been there, but for me, it's, I realize now after we were selected for the main competition that it's a big deal. And also some Norwegian films like Joachim Trier started his career in the main competition there many years ago with his first film or one of his first films. And last year it was also a Norwegian film, Lovable, that won a lot of prizes. So it's been, it's been great start for those films. And I'm hoping that, it will be a great start for our film.
It's crazy. It's already been, well, not quite a year, but it's coming up. It's so nuts when you're inside something, Don't Call Me Mama. First of all, is this your first feature or how many have you done?
Yeah, this is my feature debut, but I made a lot of short films and I directed TV series and worked on a lot of long projects, but this is my first feature film, yes, as a writer and director. So it's a big deal for me and my career.
It's a big deal. Well, and it's to be able to premiere for the Crystal Globe, I mean, at Karlovy is crazy. So in the spring of 2019, you were shortlisted and pitched at the Norwegian Film Institute's New Paths Idea Development and received funding from Western Norway Film Center. Give me the origin stories of this project, if you don't mind. Like, where did it come from? Where did the seed of the idea come from? And then how did you get from there to here?
Yeah. It's been a long journey. As you said, I got the idea in 2018. And I was working on my own TV series, a drama series that I'm developing that's also about immigrants in Norway. So it was researching that drama series that I came up with some news articles that were revealing that Norwegian, mature women were having affairs with young asylum seekers at local asylum centers in Norway. Mm-hmm. And that kind of really shocked me because I met a lot of those young men and also the women who were helping them. And I never thought that would be an issue. So that was the starting point. And I was really like, wow, this is something I want to dive into. And that was the beginning. And of course, it has developed a lot since that first idea, because then my first thoughts were, in a way, I was judging these women and I was shocked and I couldn't relate to them at all. But then I started digging into the psychology of it and asked myself, what if this was just, any woman? It could it be me or you? Could it, and that was the starting point. And even though she crosses some boundaries, the most of us maybe would never do, I thought it was very interesting and important to portray her as just, a normal woman.
It's like she does seem like a respectable woman, right? And she's married to the mayor, is that correct?
Yeah, she's married to the mayor in a small village in Norway, and she's a high school Norwegian teacher.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's having this affair with this asylum seeker.
Yes.
I guess the dynamic of like making her feel like a character like this that you can root for, I guess, or stay with, or whatever you want to say. How tricky is that dynamic? Somebody who's doing these dirty deeds, but also the audience is sticking around to see what happens to her. Like, why would we care for someone, doing this?
Yeah. I think that was part of what I was interested in, because I feel that a lot of men are in film are portrayed in, you have Sopranos, you have all these male characters that we both like and hate, because
the anti-hero.
Yeah, but it's not that often we see female anti-heroes. And for me, it was really important to be able to do that with this female character, and also to have that complexity in a character, that we feel with her, we like her, but then she does some choices that makes her resent her. But then it's like this balance all the time, and I that's human, and I wanted to portray her in an honest way, even though that she does some really cynical choices. Yeah,
it's like Don Draper, Mad Men, right? I love that show. What a dirtbag, really.
Yeah.
But like it's like mesmerizing just to see and to like be a voyeur in his. Yeah, the anti-hero of it all. I mean, that was a big. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about anti-heroes for a minute then, because it's such an interesting thing. I wrote a crime film once, and it was a criminal as hero specifically, and that's not easy to do. As far as how do you get people to actually care about this person? And I think within the criminal as hero, it's like whoever he's against is even worse than him. Is kind of one trick. I feel like even more despicable than him. But as far as an anti-hero inside of a thriller, inside of a drama with thriller elements.
Yeah.
And so when you're building out this anti-hero character, when you're writing it, let's talk about that. Like, how does that look? How did that look for you?
It's a gradually change in the character, because I really wanted the audience to like her from the beginning and respect her, and not portray her as this needy middle-aged woman. I wanted her to be cool and strong and, liked. And that was a really difficult balance, because it had to be something in her also to make her being able to, fall in love with this young guy. So there are some scars from her marriage that I didn't want to go too much into details, but that made her maybe more vulnerable. But I didn't want the audience to feel sorry for her, but understand that there's something in her that's broken, and maybe that's part of why she's open to, or she has this strong need to be seen, because she's a woman in an age where, she feels that she's not seen anymore, and maybe she feels she lost her sexuality and her connection with her husband, and then she meets this young man, and it's not only sexual attraction, but it's also that he makes her feel seen, and she makes him feel more than just an immigrant. She sees a talent in him. So they both need each other. They need to connect with another human being, because he's all alone. Amir, the 18-year-old Amir, he's all alone in Norway. He doesn't have anyone, and she feels alone because she lost the connection to her husband, and that's what brings them together.
Which is a hugely relatable thing for anybody that's ever been in a relationship, right? Probably. Yeah. It's like it happens. Yeah, disconnect or whatever.
But that's the starting point. And then, she falls in love with him. That was important for me, that she actually falls blindly, even though you could say, is that possible? She's end of her 40s, he's 18. But I think it is when you're crazy in love, it develops, and then we sort of understand that this can't be, and then it develops into something darker, because it can't last between them. And when she feels that he sort of betrays her, then it's the turning point for the character. So in a way, she's like the hero going anti-hero. And that was very interesting for me to have that shift, but it's not like black and white. It's never black and white. And none of the characters I want to be black and white. It's all the gray zones and the complexity of being a human being, with good and bad sides. So,
so building this character out, I mean, that's like, did you identify like her, I don't know, like attachment styles, her love languages? Was there any of that kind of stuff? How deep did you go with like who this person is as a realistic character? When it comes to like her past relationships, like is there anything that goes back to her childhood?
I have thoughts about that when I'm writing, of course, but it's really important for me when I cast the film, and Pia Chalta, who plays the main character Eva, she was involved in the project like 1.5 years before the shooting. So she's a character. She's like a fantastic Norwegian actress, and I just understood right away when I met her that she doesn't have any need for me to have all these analyses about the characters. She has had to find it herself, and that's the work she does. So
So it'd be a question for her.
She built the character also herself, but I wrote it, and then in the last year before the shooting, she was also involved the last drafts of the script, and also Christopher Jona, who plays her husband. I had a lot of conversation with him as well, building that character, because he was helping me making that character also more complex. So this is like an ongoing development for me together with the actors, and that's really important. But of course, I had thoughts about her, how she was, that she had been together with her husband since she was 18, and that she actually dreamt about being a writer herself, but she never went with that. And now she meets this young man who has this talent that she maybe has herself. You know what? So that's that is under
these little things that make complete sense, right?
I had it in my head, and also I come from a family full of teachers, so I guess that's why I chose a Norwegian teacher, all this.
Okay, cool. Talk about the working with the actors when you've got your script, and then you're collaborating with them on the next drafts. Do you have rehearsals with them? You have reads, and then you go in and they massage the dialogue, and then you apply it to the next draft. Is it like that for you, or what's your process like as far as polishing that script and getting it ready for production?
In the beginning, it's more conversations. They were reading, and then I just had a lot of conversations with them about, what they thought was good and not so good. And then in the last rounds of the script development, actually, I had a co-writer, Katrine Valen, who helped me with the dialogue to make it better and to, it's a low budget film. We had 20 days of shooting, so the script was long, and we had to narrow it down. So she really helped me with that. And also the actors, in the end, we had readings, and then we rehearsed and read out the lines, and then they, we correct things.
Sure.
So, and then I rewrote it in the end with the actor's own words.
It's interesting how this is compared to post production, because you're still like, you're massaging, you're playing around, you're turning it to the side and looking at it this way, and then you're going back into it and saying, oh, okay, maybe this is something that we could do, right? It's like so cool when you think about it that way. I've been doing documentaries for a minute, but fiction filmmaking is totally it's just this that first phase of getting that script, just not rushing it, but getting it just right, and collaborating with the right people to massage. I keep wanting to say this word, and it reminds me of like my editing. I believe in story consultants. I've been doing that a lot with this last doc, where it's like just handing it to these two trusted people who are great at notes, fresh eyes, qualified, and they give me back these wonderful things that I just missed, or maybe knew but didn't want to know, or confirm. Like same thing with this kind of script molding process. It's get it. This is the devil is in the details with these things.
But it really is, and I so agree with you, because it's like some screenwriters are afraid of letting people involved.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like the opposite, because when I'm writing the script and I have this idea for so many years, in the end, I'm blind, I need to have feedback, and I have to listen to the actors. And I'm really happy that, I worked with this script for so many years alone, and I had a consultant helping me, of course, but in the end, it was scary. But also, I'm so happy that I handed the script to Katrina, and she took the 2 last rounds without me, because then I had so many darlings that had to be killed, and I don't think I could kill them myself. And we were shooting in 20 days. This film would not be able to. It wouldn't have been able to do it if we didn't. We didn't do that, actually. So it was like, make it or break it.
Yeah, 20 days.
It was 79 pages, the script in the end, and the film is it's 1 hour 44 minutes, I think.
Whoa. Okay.
And so that means that the script was really tight, but that's and the scenes were tight, but then I was able to work freely with the actors, and
amazing.
So that's how I love to work. I have this scene, but I can also make it come alive, and improvise a little bit, and just stay in the scenes without the actors saying anything, and just letting the camera roll. And we were filming handheld camera.
Okay, wait a minute. 79-page script ended up being 100 minutes. So you gained 21 more minutes. Roughly a page equals a minute, right? The rule of thumb. So how did that happen? As far as you just once you were filming, you guys let it breathe and you played around, and you just had you put some air back into it, obviously, right?
I'm known for just letting the camera roll, and I never say thank you or cut, because I think that it's when in the end of a scene or take, or in the beginning, where the actors maybe are not really in the scene, that sometimes the magic happens. Or if you just stay with them and see what happens. And I always tell my actors, like, just follow your instincts, be in the scene, see what happens. And I think also that's how a lot of, like, especially Pia and Christopher, who are very experienced actors, they love this way of working and just having, the freedom. But they were also it was also really important for them to have a good script. But if you have a good script, you can always allow yourself to be free. But if you have a crappy script, it's not easy to be free. So in a way, I think it's just, and then of course, since we had 20 days, me and the DOP Alvilde Natastad, who did a great job, we decided that we have to have we have to have a plan to be able to film a lot. So we were lighting it. We had a few locations, like the house they live in. It's all the rooms are in the same house, so we didn't have
Okay,
to.
nice.
You know, and we also filmed handheld, and we being able to follow the characters, the actors, you know. And,
Gotcha.
And we almost didn't have rehearsals when we were shooting. We just filmed the rehearsals also.
Amazing. Okay. Wait. Okay. Cool. I love it. I love how y'all make movies over there. It seems like there's a bit of a thread. When I do eventually go back to fiction from documentary, I'm going to be more prepared for this kind of filmmaking because I was too control. I feel like I made 3 fiction micro budget features before I switched to docs 3 docs ago. And yeah, what I would take back with me now is to let things happen more, you know, like, because too much control is will suffocate. Well, at least in my experience, will smother it, and then you have this wooden thing, kind of, you know. With docs, what docs taught me was, I love real life. It's so good. It just gives you so many things, and really, the best directing sometimes is to do nothing, to let things happen. Not even that you're really letting them, but just to not step in sometimes. You know, the precision of not knowing when to not step in is a big deal. So it's cool when I talk to fiction filmmakers and they're really good at that aspect, you know, where letting the kind of letting the real world play out, as opposed to, you know, the severe dramatic example would be, you missed a period in my script. You know, of course, that's silly, but so, I mean, there's such benefit to that, right?
But I just have to say that I don't think I could work like that if I didn't have all the time I had prior to the shooting, all the conversations and rehearsals with the actors. I didn't actually rehearse that much with Pia and Tarek, who plays Amir, because I wanted to keep the natural tension and excitement between them anyway. I didn't want them to get to know each other too well, actually. But I had a lot of readings and conversation with both of them separate. So that we've been talking a lot about the characters, the motivations in the scenes, you know, where I wanted it and where so that I knew that they understood where I wanted to go with the scenes and with the film. So that was really important for me.
Gotcha. So you were careful about maintaining what you thought their headspace should be in relation to the script, the film.
Yeah, because I think it's, if you have all this time to prepare and talk about things when you're on set, then it's not, and I almost didn't have to direct them, you know, because that's when they do their work. They just know what they're doing. They have their inner work. They've done their research. Pia is amazing in that way. She analyzes the characters in her own way, and I don't, you know, I respect what she's doing, and she did an amazing job, and she has this inner work that I don't know where she takes it from. And Tarek, he's of course younger and not that experienced, but he just did so much research on being a refugee from Syria, and he even wrote the poems that the character reads in the script. He wrote them himself, and he'd never been writing before. So when he sent me a draft of the poems, because he just told me, you know, I can try to write something. And then he went to some poetry readings, and then he sent it to me. And I was sitting in a restaurant in the city a summer day, and then I read it and I started crying because it was so strong. So that was really, and this, when things like that happens, I could never have written those poems, you know, and we actually know how to do this, and it just solved itself out, you know, because so that's magic.
It's weaving real life things right into it, as opposed to trying to control too much. I mean, I have to gush over the documentary form. Like it gives me so many. I love that I only get one take. I love that part. I love it. Yeah. And I like to. I'm a cinematographer too, so I love to film. It's like attached to my filmmaking style, kind of. And God, like the best moments are just me doing, like, you know, framing it and doing what I can with the limitations that I have, you know, in a really nice camera. And the moments that you get, I could never, if I were writing it, it would not be as good.
No.
99.9% of the time, you know. So yeah.
Yeah, but that's the I guess that's the magic. And sometimes I think maybe I should do a documentary when you're talking about it, because it's...
Well, I mean, but the way that I feel like the way that European filmmakers are, especially, it seems like from my, you know, year of talking to them, a lot of them, it seems like so well done with like the autobiographical elements, you know, bringing in, really seems like there's a maintenance of that aspect, you know, where it's realism, of course, but it's also just like attaching this autobiographical into these fiction pieces, even if it's just by technique or if it's based. A lot of times, it seems like it's based on the filmmakers, you know, real life in a way, where like you're telling stories you need to tell versus and what you know and need to get out versus, you know, doing something that's just specifically genre, I guess, forward, you know. So anyways, but I think the documentary slash fiction film that's got those autobiographical elements, they're very similar in a lot of ways, you know, like autofiction and docufiction. There's a lot of manipulation in that too. I mean, I'm not making just observational cinema, you know. That's what the non-manipulated, I guess, even that's manipulated once you make a cut, once you decide to not show this and to show this. But how far can you take it before it's not documentary anymore? Or how far can you take a fiction piece before it's not fiction anymore, you know? I love this space right now these days, this whole thing. And it's like the European filmmaker seems to really be built for docs as well as fiction, I guess. You should make a documentary.
It was a scene in the script that I changed the day before because I had these poems very late. And then I knew that I have to put them in because also to feel more with the character, Amir, because he's not the main character, Eva is, but it was so important for me also to have his point of view in some elements of the film, even though we see it from her point of view. And then I have a scene where they're sitting in his bedroom and he reads a poem he has written about his background and, you know, being a refugee, fleeing the war in Syria and missing his mom and his family. And, you know, and that's the first time he reads out loud the poem to Pia, who plays Eva, because we didn't want her to hear it before we actually shot the scene. And that's one take of him reading it, because what happened was, and also he wrote it, the actor, Tarek, wrote it himself. I think he was very nervous to read it out. So I think that as his person, Tarek was also a bit like, oh shit, am I going to read this? And then you have the character, Amir, that this means a lot to, you know, reading these words out loud. And then his reaction was that he started crying and it was so strong. And then, you know, she didn't know that would happen. So we had all this things going on that were not planned, and that made that scene for me one of the strongest scenes because
it's real, right? That's what you're trying to capture here. Real authenticity, right?
Yes. I love it when that happens. So
awesome.
You can't plan that, you know, and that's why you have to be open. For me, it's always, you know, I'm really trying to be just open to what will happen. So because that's and not being in control always. But of course, sometimes I'm stressed and I have to, you know, and you have little time then, but you ruin it. You're ruining it.
It's balance thing. Double-edged sword thing. My brain goes to a place. I used to be a lighting guy. I was a grip for 7 years on big movies, shows and movies, American stuff, obviously. And anyways, I'm thinking about just like the variety of approach, you know, and most of it was not this style of letting things. I mean, there was a lot of it was a lot of gloss, a lot of control imposed. And a lot of that, the more control was imposed, the less engaging the end result was, you know. I would say. I mean, when it comes to actually like directing styles and, you know, but also it was a different time. I think realism is alive and well these days, especially in, I mean, always in European cinema. And I think even in American, like the good American stuff, and of course, like other parts of the world. So I think to get to the realism part, yeah, you do have to, you almost got to let go of the gloss, but right now it's like this verite, this realism is the thing that we all kind of want to see. I get really excited about that's what's going to work best as a viewer trying to, you know, connect to your material on an emotional level, but also it doesn't cost anything extra. You don't need to make it. You don't need all these people and all this gloss. You don't want it. I don't want it. I want it to look good. I want it to have its cinematic language. But like these techniques are free, you know? And the good news is like the emotional connection is the main ingredient. Anyways, moving on. Okay, production 20 days. You shot all handheld, the whole film?
Not all, but a lot.
It just made sense for the kind of tone of the film, or what were your other reasons for that?
Yeah, it was because I wanted it to have this sense of realism. But of course, if we would have had a lot of money, I guess I wanted the camera to be very up close to the characters. And for me, I tried filming handheld, but it's like with a steady camera, of course. It's not like handheld. It's very
floating around. Okay.
Yeah, you can, yeah. I tried also, I made some short films that were very composed like photographies, but for me, I wanted to go back to the being able to follow the characters and being free with them, because I think that's when you have that authenticity that I want as a director. So yeah, and I think that's the reason I wanted to work freely with them, and also yeah, but to have like me and the DOP, we wanted like a poetic visual language and with a lot of close-ups, but also in contrast take the camera out and be observing from the outside, to have a feeling that someone is looking in and watching them. And that was also, you know, I knew all the way that I wanted to film in Odda. It's a western small city where you have really steep mountains like and fjords, and the mountains are surrounding it, the city, so it's very claustrophobic in a way. So I wanted to use the mountains, and as the story develops, you know, it feels like the mountains, and we call it like I don't know if you have an English word for it, but it's like in small village towns you have, you know, people talking and gossiping, and the feeling.
Yeah, totally same. Yeah, gossip.
I don't know what to call it. Do you call it like anything?
Gossiping. Yeah. Rumors, gossiping, small town gossiping. Yeah.
And you have the feeling that, you know, people are talking and the mountains are threatening, and
everything's the same everywhere. It's funny, right?
Yeah.
In that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
you don't never know who knows what. Is it in her head? Does people know? We don't know. And that wasn't the important thing for me. But I placed it in a small town because, of course, that's more risky.
And that's the big threat of the film, I would assume, right? Or one of her big threats, as far as who's going to know, who does know, who can find out. The secret is like this thing that I would assume drives the story, right?
Yeah, in many ways it is, and of course it's risky, you know, having this affair with a young man she's trying to help, and her husband is going for a new election, and you know, she's a respected teacher and also involved in his campaign, so it's a lot of things at stake here. Did
you ever see The Hunt, Mads Mikkelsen?
I love it.
Thomas Vinterberg.
Yeah,
that movie was incredible, and I don't know if this is a forced a forced thing here to bring this up, and I got to talk about old movies for a minute. Would you say that there's similar vibes to this? It just makes me think of that movie in a way when it comes to public perception, the town square, the Scarlet Letter or whatever. It's like the whole kind of like the pitchforks.
In general, I love Danish film and Thomas Vinterberg and Susanne Bier, and I'm inspired by Danish film and Jakten. It's also a character-driven drama thriller, I would say, and it starts with this one small, like a girl telling someone to some grown-ups, and then this just goes out of proportion.
You mean The Hunt, For the Hunt?
For the Hunt, and
it's so brutal.
Well done! Wow. So it's a long time since I've thought about that movie. You can relate it to that, but it's a very different movie. But the small time vibe and the paranoia and
that aspect, it just kind of popped in my head. I'm going to read the Hunt synopsis. A kindergarten teacher, played by Mads Mikkelsen, his world collapses around him after one of his students, who has a crush on him, implies that he committed a lewd act in front of her. So this isn't your direct inspo, but I just want to give a little shout out to that movie because it's worth watching. And I think American audiences is a good entry point for an American viewer that ain't used to watching this, European films, Danish films. It's a good entry point. I feel like it's got enough like genre beats to like, you know what I mean? Keep an American viewer interested.
Definitely. It's a great film.
Is there any direct inspirations, like any past films that you thought of when you were making this film, or any past favorite movies that's most inspired you as a filmmaker?
Yeah, Thomas Vinterberg is one of them. Nice. But as I mentioned, Susanne Bier, also a Danish filmmaker who's made American films also.
What's his name again? I'm sorry.
Susanne Bier. She made one of my favorite films, After the Wedding, it's called.
Okay.
With Mats Mikkelsen.
Okay. Oh, Susanne Bier, After the Wedding. Yeah. Mads Mikkelsen, 2006, After the Wedding. Jacob Peterson dedicates his life to helping street children in India, and when the orphanage he leads may be closed, he receives an interesting offer. A businessman will give him $4 million with no conditions. Jacob must return to Denmark and take part in the wedding of the man's daughter. The event is a crucial meeting of past and future, throwing Jacob into the most intense dilemma of his life. Cool.
It's amazing. I heard it's also it's a remake, American remake, also with two female characters, but I haven't seen that one. But is that, she portrays the Danish society, but she also, in contrast, shows other parts of the world, like the character works in a orphanage in India, and then he comes back, and then you have the contrast. As a filmmaker also, I want to make emotional dramas, but it's also important for me to look like I have my Norwegian view on the world, but I also want to see like the refugee subjects that I'm reflecting on in this movie, and also the drama series I'm working on. It's about an Afghani 17-year-old refugee that falls in love with a Norwegian girl, and when he's turning 18, the Norwegian immigration office sends him back to Afghanistan, and he has to escape. So it's a road movie with his Norwegian girlfriend, and so I like to tell stories that are both local but also universal. So I think that's what I like.
Yeah, same.
I'm inspired by, for example, Susanne Bier, and of course, and also Andrea Arnold.
She always comes up on this podcast.
Since I started filmmaking, she's been an inspiration, especially Fish Tank and the social.
Fish Tank. I'm like, when I first saw this movie, I was just like, wow. That was one of the earlier movies where I'm like, it's a great movie to watch as an independent filmmaker. And then later I'm like, Andrea Arnold did that? Yeah, she just keeps on keeping on.
She's a big female director, and it's not
Yeah.
a lot of female directors out there.
Mm-mm.
So
Badass, right? And I mean, independent. Like, she's not somebody that would like that the average American viewer would know about, or she doesn't go and do Marvel movies or whatever. But it's like
yeah,
her films are so nice, and like as an independent filmmaker, she just gives you hope in general. It's like look
yeah,
at the career that one could have. Look at these. Look at
yeah,
the filmography is incredible.
yeah.
That's what I care about.
And some of her short films, also one called Wasp. It's great, and you can see from that work uh, that it's very relatable to a fish tank. So it's very interesting for me
Mm.
also, because I made a lot of short films to be able to make a long film. That's
Mm.
especially in Norway. That's the way you're working yourself up in a way. And I'm so happy that I did all these short films, because that's how I learned making films.
Yeah.
It,
How many shorts have you done? What would you say?
I like in a professional way after my studies. I made like two with like a budget, and then I made three when I was a student, and some of them, like my exam film, we sold to the state channel, and it went around all the world to in the festival circus. So but I didn't have any money making it, but so I made I think like 4 or 5 short films that's been
Mm-hmm.
like screened around the world. Yeah.
Nice. Very cool. Yeah, I used to give myself a thing, give myself a little test of like, I'm going to spend this next week. I was bored and broke.
Yeah.
I'm going to spend, this was like 20 years ago. I'm going to give myself a test. I'm going to give myself 1 week to write something, and then and a week after that, I have to film it. It's like it's like a scenario type short film. We did that so many times, and that was a great way to cut the teeth. Just
Yeah.
like basically a good way to also just do what you say you're going to do, be consistent, focus on one thing, keep it simple. I got better at what I was doing, what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
And it costs nothing. Like, come on, man, you don't need no money. Just go do it. Obviously, if you got a little resources, that's really helpful. But just thinking about the filmmaker that's out there that might be listening, where, just go shoot the damn thing.
Yeah, I agree. For me, it's like don't give up, because I don't know if this is a long time, but I graduated from film school in 2010, and now it's 2025, and now I'm premiering my first feature film. And
Mm-hmm.
like 10 years ago, I thought I was gonna make the feature film, like I was sure
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna do that, and
Mm-hmm.
it didn't happen, and a lot of the times I wanted to give up, and I was like, no, this is not gonna happen, but I just didn't have a plan B. And then, but I realize now, during those 15 years, I learned so much about filmmaking, also writing and developing long scripts and TV show series that's never been made.
Mm-hmm.
I got all this, development fundings, and I have scripts that are not, maybe I will make them one day or maybe not, but
Yeah.
doing that, I learned a lot. And then also I couldn't, earn a lot of money with the short films and trying to make it, with the long films. So I started my own casting agency. So that's how I
Oh.
actually funded my artistic career, was also working as the casting director.
It's an intrusive question, but it's like, how do you make money while being a filmmaker? But it's an
Yeah,
important, real thing.
it is.
I have a production company. That's how I do it. But it's like
Yeah,
whatever you got to do, like post
yeah,
production specifically seems to be healthy for me.
yeah,
Because like making films, this is an expensive hobby. Let's be honest. I mean, come on. Like maybe you'll make your money back, but either way, it's not like a money making thing to be a filmmaker.
no,
So you got to have that side hustle.
yeah.
Casting makes sense.
Yeah, and also, to be honest, if you're a director and you never direct, you just develop and develop and develop. You don't have you're not practicing your directing skills, or
Mm.
working with actors. And being a casting director, I had a lot of training with this. So I think
Oh,
that's why
yeah.
I felt confident when I was
Totally.
finally directing my first feature film, because I'm not afraid of actors, because I'm used to, working with them as
Totally.
casting director, and also with amateurs and with young people and kids. And actually, I have more experience working with amateurs and young people than experienced actors. So now, when I was working with the best actors in Norway, it was kind of a luxury for me, because I'm used to working with a lot of young actors who are not trained. I'm a director. I've never been trained as an actor or actress, but I during my development as a director, I've been on a lot of acting courses to understand the craft of acting. So actually, I was 1 month in LA in Ivana Chubbuck's studio. I don't know if you've heard about her.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So I
I have
got
a
to
lot of
see.
actor friends.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
always talk about these
Yeah,
things.
yeah. 1 month to learn from her, and I thought I was gonna go there to be like just sit beside her and watch her working with actors and learning that way, because I told her I'm a director. I just want to see how you work and how you work with actors. And then I came there, and then suddenly I was like told that now you're not a director, you're an actress, and you're gonna work with scenes with professional actors, and you're gonna put up the scene in 1 week, and you're gonna work. And I had so much anxiety during that month. I was like crying in the evenings. I was so afraid of,
Oh, wow.
it was horrible, but then it
Yeah.
was the best thing I've ever done, because I learned so much about myself and about
Pain is power.
how, yeah, and just
Yeah.
also digging into myself and sharing and learning, how it is to be an actor. So I would recommend that to everyone who wants to work
Nice.
with. Yeah.
That's very good information.
Yeah.
Something good to think about. Growth requires discomfort, right? I mean, you just gotta
It's true.
to get something new in your tool belt. You gotta, it doesn't just come with for nothing, right? You gotta work that muscle out. Okay, last question for you then. I mean, because we kind of answered it. I was going to ask you. I'll ask you right now. What is like the one big thing, if there is one big thing, or what comes to your mind? If you could go back in time and tell your earlier filmmaking self something, what would that be?
Oh, that, don't think so much about what comes ahead, and that if I make this long film, I will be happy. And, if I make that, that's my goal. You just have to realize that the process also is really interesting, and life is interesting. So everything that happens to you in your personal life, and if it goes to hell, or if it's good, you can use all this, and you will just develop as a human being, and also then you will develop as a filmmaker. So I didn't think about, I was always chasing something in my future, but then now I realize that everything, happens for a reason, and also the process learned me so much, and I appreciate it. And of course, I'm very happy that I am able to now I have it like a feature film, but I realized that it was the process up until now that,
It all
that's
makes sense
really
now.
precious also. Yeah.
The past and the future are very interesting human-made things, aren't they?
Yeah, it is.
It's just all we have are a series of now moments.
Yeah.
But it's like the way we view what just happened is what we call the past. And like you can get stuck in the past, and you can definitely the future the same way, where you're thinking too far ahead.
Being in the now.
I know this podcast is called Past, Present, Future, but I'm obsessed with even the concept of time. Like nostalgia is fun and great, and looking back and appreciating things is good. But don't stay too long there. Same with the future, I think, where your expectations and like your entitlements start building as you start thinking too much about the future. And then when you don't get what you thought maybe you deserved, or whatever the future you thought you would have doesn't happen, what happens? You get upset. It's like being in the now is pretty good thing to try to do, I guess.
Yeah, it's difficult, but also I want to say that you will have so many no's, and I had so many, and you get used to it, and then you just don't have to take it like it's not life and death,
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
that's why I'm always telling, especially young actors that who wants to go that direction in life, and I'm always telling them, just don't be too disappointed when you go from this audition and you don't get the part, because it's so many factors that
it's not personal a lot of times, right? It feels like it,
because
but
then
it's not.
you will have a horrible life if you're gonna go down every time you get this way, and then it will be horrible.
But how cool to like go through that and then finally tell yourself, I don't have to react this way. That's one thing I can control.
Yeah.
It took me 40 years to understand that almost.
Yeah, but now I'm 41, and I think maybe it has to do with, life happened. I realize that it's not life and death if I'm gonna make this film, or if I get a rejection or something like that,
You gotta, and I'm such a hippie almost now these days, where it's like, okay, that's just the universe doing its thing. But it's like gives me comfort. It's like I know that it's going to make sense later. If I'm trying to force something and it's not working, then it ain't supposed to work. Probably.
No. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So
I agree. I think we have to think like that to survive this life.
We'll end it with this. We're blessed because we get to make movies while we're here.
Yeah, we are.
Right?
Yeah, I feel I love what I do, and as I told you, I never had a plan B, so I still don't know what I would do if I'm not doing this. So
Same. Congratulations to your premiere, and I'm sure Karlovy is going to be so wonderful.
Thank you. It was really nice talking to you, Marcus.
This podcast is brought to you by Valerian Projectors, featuring the Valerian Vision Master Pro 2, a filmmaker and film lover's dream. This outstanding 4K HDR tri-laser projector boasts 3000 ISO lumens, Rec 2020 color, and an impressive 15,000:1 contrast ratio. That gives you those deep, rich blacks in every frame. That's what I as a filmmaker care about the most. With IMAX and Dolby Vision compatibility, Google OS, Active 3D, Filmmaker Mode, the list of impressive specs is endless. It delivers an exceptional cinematic experience when viewing the films of our podcast guests. Head over to Valerian.com to get yours today. That's VALERION.com. Please like and subscribe to this podcast and follow us on social media at Past Present Feature. And let us know in the comments section what movies you're watching. Thank you so much for listening to the Past Present Feature podcast, and we'll see you next time. Peace.